Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is always going to be the slope and b is the y-intercept. And so all you're doing here, if I'm giving you the slope and the y-intercept, and it's y equals mx plus b. If the slope is 2, instead of m, I'm putting 2. And if the y-intercept is 1, instead of adding b, I'm going to add 1. The same for this one over here, except they're giving us the y-intercept as a coordinate. The y-intercept is over 0, up -3. The number we're focusing on is the -3. So y equals mx plus b. If the slope is -5/2, then I put -5/2 x. And then I add the y-intercept, which is adding -3. Which, remember, adding a negative is the same as just subtracting. So typically you just see it as -3. All right, let's go over this. So we have some graphs here. The x and y coordinates or axes aren't very clear. This is the x-axis and this is the y. So in order to put it in slope-intercept form, you want to think, what is the y-intercept? It's 1, 2, 3. So b equals 3. And then we need to find the slope. So you find 2 points on the grid lines, like this one and this one. And remember, it's rise over run. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the slope is 3, 6. And it's going down, so it's -3, 6. And I can simplify that. That is -1/2. So now that I have the y-intercept and the slope, I can just substitute them into the formula. Y equals the slope, x, plus the y-intercept of 3. Okay, let's try another one. So for this one, the y-intercept is there at 1, so b equals 1. And then my slope, and find 2 points here. It's going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, 2. So my slope is 5/2. And this is positive slope, and I can't simplify it anymore, so that's my slope. So now I can put it into the formula. Y equals mx plus b. M is my slope, so it's 5/2 x. And then my y-intercept I will add at the end. All right, one more thing. In order to graph it from slope-intercept form, you want to make sure it's in slope-intercept form, the equation. You plot your y-intercept, and then you use the slope to create one more point. Remember, just going rise over run. So let's look at an example here. So for this one, my y-intercept is +2. So I'm going to go up to +2. And then my slope is 2/5. So remember, this is rise over run. So if there's room, I'm going to go up 2 to the right 5, because this is positive slope, right? It's +2/5. I could also go -2, -5. So I could go down 2 and to the left 5. But this one is up 2 to the right 5, up 2 and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be my next point. So once you have 2 points, that's all you need if it's a linear equation to draw your line. Okay? Let's try another one. This one. The y-intercept is 5. Oops. Let's write the formula, mx plus b. So the y-intercept is 5. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my slope is what's in front of my x, and that's just negative, or -1. Now, it's important to think of this as rise over run as a fraction. So you want to change this to a fraction. So let's do -1 over 1. That gives me -1. Or I could do 1 over -1. So what this is telling me is from this point, if I want to use this one, I'm going to go in a positive direction, up 1, and in a negative direction, to the left. And you want to make sure, if this is negative slope, you want to make sure that this is going down. So when I do that, I have my 2 points, and I can just draw my line just as best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's try one more. This one, y equals mx plus b. So my y-intercept is what's added at the end. And you need to recognize that subtracting 1 is the same as, this is the same as -3x plus -1. So my y-intercept is -1. Let's put a dot there. And my slope is -3. Again, you want to think of slope as rise over run, so we want to change that to a fraction. So that is -3 over 1, or you can say 3 over -1. But you want to think of this as rise over run. So if I want to do the second one here, from this point, my 1 point I have, I'm going to go up +3, so 1, 2, 3, and then -1, run. So that means I'm going to go to the left. So my next point would be right here. Okay? And you always want to check it. This is negative slope, and yep, this would be going down from left to right. So there's my graph. The one other thing I want to show you, if you have something like this and it's not in slope-intercept form yet, you first, if you want to graph it using slope-intercept form, you first need to change it to slope-intercept form. So this is like one of those literal equations. We're solving for y. So you move the x. I'm just going to put the x. It's -3 minus x, or that's the same as -x minus 3. Remember, the commutative property allows us to move those around. And then I divide by 3. And you want to divide this whole side by 3. So for this one, when I divide this by 3, think of this as -1x over 3. Or let's divide the numbers, -1 over 3, and then the x. We don't know what that is. And then the other one, we have -3 over 3, which is -1. So now I can find the y-intercept is -1, and my slope is -1 over 3. So from that point, it's going to be down 1 and to the right, +3. And you want to, when you graph it, this is negative slopes. You want to make sure that your slope is going from left to right. It's going down, and it is.